I could not sleep last night. My husband and I watched this documentary, the Louis Theroux one about the manosphere, and I just couldn't turn my brain off afterwards. I was lying there at like 2 in the morning, replaying the moments, feeling sick, thinking about my kids, about yours, about all of our kids. And I'm not here to tell you how to parent. Honestly, I'm not. I'm just a mum who watched something that genuinely frightened me and I need to talk about it. There's this moment I can't stop thinking about. One of the men is talking to a woman and he just says, "You are disgusting and fat. Get out of my studio." Just like that. No shame, no hesitation, like it was the most normal thing in the world to say to another human being. I felt physically ill watching it. That gut punch feeling where you can't quite believe what you just heard. And that's not some random bloke. This is someone with a massive platform, thousands of people watching him, young people, boys. And what he's doing is creating this environment where speaking to women like that seems acceptable, where you can humiliate someone on camera and it's just fine. The casual cruelty of it destroyed me because this isn't some fringe corner of the internet. These men have millions of followers, they're mainstream, and the way they talk about women is absolutely dehumanizing. It's not about disagreeing, it's about treating women like they're less than, like they don't deserve respect. But then it gets darker because these men aren't just ranting to adults, they're speaking directly to young boys. And the messages are relentless. They're being told constantly, don't be soft. That's the language, don't be soft, which means don't show emotions, don't be kind, don't have empathy. Real masculinity means dominance, control, being in charge. Everything comes back to money and status. You need to be rich, you need to be buff, you need to be in control. That's the only way a woman will want you. That message over and over, your worth as a man is what you own, what you can control, and that includes women apparently. Then there's the one-way monogamy thing that made me absolutely furious. Men can sleep with whoever they want, women can't. Women should be faithful and grateful and available, but men can do whatever they want. It's this completely warped, one-sided standard, and these men are teaching it like it's gospel, like it's just how things are. What got to me the most was how normal this all seemed to the boys watching. They weren't horrified, they weren't questioning it, they were just absorbing it as truth. This is what being a man means. This is what women are for. This is how the world works. And that's the scary part. These aren't just random blokes spouting nonsense anymore. They're actively influencing kids right now. And then I thought about my two, growing up in this world. And that's when the fear became real instead of abstract. I'm not a catastrophizer. I'm really not. But this fear isn't about imagining worst case scenarios. It's about watching what's already happening and thinking, my daughters are going to encounter boys who've been fed these ideas. They're going to meet young men who genuinely believe women are less than, that control and dominance are attractive qualities, that they're entitled to a woman's body, her time, her gratitude, regardless of what she actually wants. The exhaustion of it hit me in waves because I sit with my girls and I talk about their worth. I tell them that they deserve respect. I show them what healthy relationships look like. I try to counter every single message that might absorb from the world that says otherwise. And then I think, what happens when they're 14 and a boy their age has spent the last 5 years watching men tell him that girls are conquests, that women are trophies, that his value comes from how much he can control her? What happens when they're on a date with someone who genuinely believes in one-way monogamy, who thinks it's normal to speak to women like they're nothing? I can't protect them from encountering these boys forever. That's what terrifies me the most. I can't control what they see online. I can't stop them from being exposed to these ideas eventually. But right now, while they're young, I can try to delay it. I can keep them off the platforms where this stuff lives. I can protect that window where they're still developing their sense of self, their understanding of what they deserve, and their ability to recognize a red flag from a mile away. But I also need to say this. I feel genuinely worried for mums with boys because they're in a different version of the same nightmare. They're watching their sons be actively targeted by this content. They're seeing their boys being told that kindness is weakness, that empathy makes them soft, that the only way to be a man is to dominate, to control, to win. Those mums are trying to raise decent humans in a landscape that's actively designed to pull their sons the other way. They're fighting against algorithms and influencers, an entire culture that's telling their boys that cruelty is currency, that respect is something you take, not something you earn, that women are problems to solve, not people to understand. I can't imagine how exhausting that must be. I'm scared for my daughters encountering these boys, but I'm also scared for those boys in a different way because they're being shaped by something toxic and no one's really talking about how to help them see through it. They're victims of this too, even if they don't know it yet. Here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Those boys in the documentary didn't wake up one morning hating women. They didn't just decide to be cruel. They were fed a narrative over and over and over again. And the delivery system for that narrative is sitting in their pockets. Kids are so easily influenced, full stop. Their brains are still developing. They don't have the critical thinking skills yet to filter what's good and what's complete rubbish. They can't tell the difference between something true and something designed to manipulate them. And we're handing them devices that have direct access to people who know exactly how to do that. A 12-year-old boy can find manosphere content in seconds, literally seconds. He doesn't have to go searching in some dark corner. The algorithm will find him. It'll show him a thumbnail that catches his attention, and then it'll show him another one until suddenly he's 3 hours deep in videos telling him that women are the enemy, that kindness is weak, that his value comes from how much he can dominate. And that's the algorithm problem. It's not designed to show you what's good for you. It's designed to keep you watching. It doesn't care if the content is toxic. It cares if it engages you. It cares if it makes you angry or scared or excited or validated. For some boys, especially boys who feel a bit lost or disconnected, that's exactly what this manosphere stuff does. It makes them feel part of something. It gives them an identity. It tells them they're right and the world is wrong. And here's why, and here's the proof. And that boy absorbs it without supervision, without a buffer, without anyone pausing and saying, wait, is this actually true? He's just absorbing it as normal, as fact, as the way the world works. That's where my actual fear lives, not in technology itself. Technology is neutral. It's a tool. But unrestricted access to messaging that's actively harmful to developing minds, that's the problem. That's what terrifies me. I'm not anti-technology. I'm really not. But I'm pro-protecting their minds during the years when they're most vulnerable to this stuff. There's no rush for a 7-year-old to have Instagram. There's no emergency need for a 10-year-old to have TikTok. There's no reason a kid needs unsupervised access to the internet at all hours of the day and night. Every year we delay that access, they develop more. They build more resilience. They get better at thinking critically. They understand their own worth more firmly. And when they do eventually encounter this stuff, because they will, they're better equipped to see it for what it is: manipulation, lies, cruelty dressed up as truth. Right now, while my kids are young, I can protect that window. I can keep them off the platforms. I can limit their access. And I'm going to, not because I'm afraid of technology, but because I'm afraid of what happens to their heads and their hearts when they're exposed to this messaging before they're ready to handle it. That's not paranoia. That's just looking at what's happening and making an intentional choice about how long we delay it. So here's where I land. After spending half the night staring at the ceiling, thinking about all of this, we can't stop it completely. This stuff exists. It's not going away. Eventually, our kids are going to encounter it. That's just reality. I can't keep my daughters in a bubble forever, and I don't want to, but what I can do is delay it. And delay matters more than I think we're giving it credit for. A few more years. That's what we're talking about. A few more years where their brains are developing, where they're building critical thinking skills, where they're figuring out their own sense of worth, their own sense of self and what they actually believe. A few more years before they're exposed to messaging designed to undermine all of that. That window matters. It genuinely does. So what do we actually do? First, we keep conversations open with our kids, not lectures, not me sitting them down with a PowerPoint about why manosphere content is bad, but actual conversations. Talking about what respect looks like, what it means when someone speaks to you cruelly, why control isn't love, and showing them in our own relationships what a healthy dynamic actually is. My husband and I don't have to say much. They see how we talk to each other. They see that I'm not trying to please him and he's not trying to control me. We're partners. We respect each other. And that's the baseline they're building their expectations on. That matters more than any speech I could give. We also need to stop assuming our kids won't see this stuff. We need to prepare them for when they do. That means teaching them to question what they're seeing online, to recognize manipulation, to understand that someone can be popular and still be wrong, that having millions of followers doesn't make you truthful. For mums of girls, it's about keeping up that conversation about their worth, not letting them internalize the messages they might see, helping them recognize these red flags early. A boy who speaks to you with disrespect isn't edgy or confident. He's showing you who he is. Listen to that. For mums of boys, it's the same thing, just different. Help your son see through the narrative. Show them what actual masculinity looks like. It's not dominance. It's not control. It's kindness, strength, the ability to be vulnerable with someone you trust. That willingness to admit when you're wrong, that's what real men look like. And then there's the smartphone conversation. Look, I'm not saying never give them one. I'm not saying you're a bad parent if you have. But what's the actual rush? Why not wait until they're a bit older? Why not protect that window a bit longer? Why not say, you don't need this yet? Here's the thing. I'm worried, genuinely, but I'm not paralyzed. I'm using that worry to make intentional choices about when my kids get devices, about what apps they have access to, about whether they're online unsupervised. That's all I can really do. Make choices that feel right for my family based on what I know scares me. So I'm not telling you how to parent your kids. I'm telling you what scared me. After watching that documentary, I'm more convinced than ever that we need to delay smartphones. Not forever, just longer. Give kids time to develop, think critically, understand their own worth before they're exposed to messaging designed to chip away at it. That's all I'm sitting with today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Real Mummy podcast. Remember, every mum's journey is unique and you are doing an amazing job. Please be sure to head over to our website at www.realmummypodcast.com to stay up to date with the latest episodes and dive into our recent blog articles filled with even more wisdom and stories. We absolutely love connecting with our listeners, so don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Real Mummy Podcast. Join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of our supportive mum community. And I'd love to hear from you. Have you got a topic you want covered? Do you have a guest you'd love to hear from? Reach out to us through our website or social media. Your input is invaluable and helps us to create the content that matters most to you. Thank you for being part of the Real Mummy podcast family. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind to yourself, and remember, you're never alone on this journey.